not a stupid woman. She makes everybody else do her dirty work.
In these trying times, Pepsi is here for you.
What the fuck? Sitting here in this massive swamp, this river of grass, what I want to talk to you about is where you yourself are in many ways responsible for the ways in which you've been exploited. And in saying that, I know that might shock you, but I feel like until we actually go through this and we can train you to take ownership of the extent to which you've been exploited, it's just going to keep happening again and again and again. And so what I want to lead into here is basically looking at two different types of societal elites, right? I actually thought about this because we're in the swamp, and one of the popular phrases that you saw come up in politics in recent years was drain the swamp. Just got me thinking about it a little bit. And it's important at one level to understand who many of the elites are that are just exploitative. They're just nasty, nasty people. And to understand the underlying psychology of people who are actually operating like this and creating a reality around you that is actually sucking you dry of life and putting you into this kind of walking daze, this kind of stupefied derp state where you have no idea what's going on. You're barely even truly born. You actually need to have, in my view, a second birth to get out of that, okay? So that's one side, is understanding the psychology of people like that and what they're creating around you and sort of getting that. Now, I'll make a brief mention of that in this video, but I've really covered that in many other videos, the general psychology behind that. What I haven't covered as much is how, in many ways, a lot of society's elites are actually incredibly good people. And these are people who would really go above and beyond to help you to make your life better. People who are just so frustrated that you, okay, not them, but you are refusing to wake up, that you are walking around as a sheep, that you are basically choosing to stay plugged into the Matrix. The best way I could describe it to you, I thought in the movie The Matrix, they made a great analogy here, where there was that one character that would actually betray his friends because he wanted to be plugged back into the Matrix. I think he was drinking this kind of, like, artificial steak. It was maybe an artificial glass of wine or something. And he's negotiating with the main bad guy to get plugged back in because he simply doesn't want to have to actually deal with reality.
Do we have a deal, Mr. Reagan?
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
Then we have a deal.
To be honest, I have seen this in many ways, even with people who give me a lot of compliments and love my content, and I'm talking to them, and I can see that they're still willfully remaining in a stupefied daze. So that being the case, the main topic of this video is how many of society's elites are actually good people who want the best for you. And they're throwing their hands up in the air just going, why? Why? Why can't they wake up? Why can't they get it? Almost just like looking at just this total waste of potential and just wishing that they would just sort of snap out of it. But they just willfully stay in their days.
Every heart is beating. I'm all love.
mahogany tree. And it says right here, trees of such great stature have many irreplaceable roles in the forest community. They support an abundance of plants and animals, act as windbreaks, and prevent soil erosion. Now, when you're looking around this forest, what do you identify as? Do you identify in yourself and your self-esteem as this great mahogany tree? Or do you identify a little bit more like some kind of scraggly plant, which is also really, really important, but it has a different image to it, right? Now you can identify whatever you want, but I thought that was an interesting lead-in. How do you identify yourself? What is your self-esteem? And what is it that you think you deserve out of life? So we're gonna knock into this by basically talking about an ex of mine who was really a wonderful person, but had a dark, very creepy and surprising little secret. Now, this person was very, very beautiful, fun, positive, and a joy to be around. Someone who I'm still friends with this day, and I'm going to be sending them this video, and they're going to be cracking up in a very, very big way. But I remember when we were first dating, and I would see that from time to time, this person would pick their phone up and start screaming at somebody. And they would just start screaming like, "You're dirt! You're dirt! You're pathetic! What is wrong with you? You make me sick! You make me sick!" Like all this crazy stuff. And it'd be hilarious. We'd be sitting at like Zuma restaurant in Miami, some beautiful fancy dinner, and out of nowhere they'd just pick up their phone and start screaming at somebody and going crazy. And it was really funny too, because the way they would do it is like they'd scream and scream in the phone and then put the phone down and look up at me and go, "Hey baby, hey, sorry about that." Like as if really like nothing had happened. Just oh, back to normal. I had never seen such vitriol at somebody over the phone, maybe in my life. It was just the craziest thing I'd ever seen. It was so curious, and it was kind of a mystery to me about how this could be happening. So finally I asked them, I said, "Look, you got to tell me who this person is that you're screaming at. Like, what is going on here?" And they tell me, "It's actually my ex. And he keeps calling me, and he keeps saying, I want to get back together," and I just pipe off on him. So I dug into this a little bit further. I said, why would your ex keep calling you and taking this kind of abuse? And as it turns out, their previous relationship was very off the wall as far as their intimate life. Now, you might have heard of these CEOs that are always in control all day, and they'll pay somebody a bunch of money to dress up in leather and kind of whip them and like step on them in the worst places and drip hot candle wax on them and scratch them up and degrade them and whatnot. And you hear about this and you think it's completely weird, right? Or maybe you're into it, to be fair. Well, you hear about this, you think, what is this? Like, why is it that people, say a CEO, they feel a need to be treated like this? And the explanation is that they're always in control, they have high status, but they don't really feel like they deserve to be that good. So this rich CEO will pay somebody a whole bunch of money, pay them thousands and thousands of dollars to step on them in the worst places and drip burning wax on them and scratch them up and just do all this like weird stuff to them.
All right, thank you very much. Be 25 to 30 minutes, guys.
Good boy. Right now I'm in LA, and Slave Buffy travels with me almost everywhere because he's one of my favorites.
I've been Jasmine's slave for about 2 months now. When I submit my money to Jasmine, just giving control to somebody with that beauty, it makes me feel like I've accomplished something.
Now, in the FinDom community, or the financial domination community, the male submissives are often referred to as cash pigs. It's like having a sugar daddy that you can just fucking bitch at and he'll just give you money anyway. No sugar, and it's pretty much the dream. I would simply instruct him to send X amount of money whenever I wanted him to, and he would give it to me. But to ensure that he wasn't spending too much, which is simple for him because he's a weak-willed piggy, I would set up a budget for him.
So the relationship of a FinDom and a FinSub may take place solely via online communication. So yes, I have actually never met or never seen, I've never seen 85 to 90% of my cash cows.
I can completely and totally humiliate. You have to have a fat wallet and little self-worth. I already know that I'm too good for you. I'm a goddess. And you'll never be good enough for me. So what are you gonna sacrifice?
What this person said to me was, basically, my ex-boyfriend would sit in the corner crying, like in a little ball. And you sit there in a little ball and you go, can I come closer? And they'd say, no, you're pathetic. You can't come closer. You're pathetic. And he'd sit there in the corner, just look up, and then he would just crawl in a little ball, and he'd start crying. And then after a few minutes, he'd crawl a few steps closer, and they'd say, stop it, don't you come any closer. Then he'd sit there and he'd cry for a little bit, and then come a little bit closer, and just come a little bit closer every time until he was right up, nuzzled up against them, and just say, please, can you just please give me attention, please? And there'd be like, smack, and like all this crazy stuff, shut up. And then finally, my ex would mount on top of their ex, get on top, and say, you're lucky that I would do this with you, you're pathetic, right? And basically what would happen, they would pretty much just like be really, really nasty. But here's what's funny. Once they had come and been with me, the ex would still keep calling for more of this horrible, horrible treatment. And ultimately, he was complicit in this behavior. He was actually specifically in a relationship with this person because he was deriving something out of it. He liked it. Not only that, he had to be a slave and couldn't be with anyone else who wouldn't make him a slave. He liked it. Now, what I would ask you is, where are you like this? As much as we can sit here all day long talking about how there's these different elements in society that are exploiting you and messing you up, let's be honest. Do you like your mindless entertainment? Do you like not having to think? Do you like your unhealthy food that just gives you a little taste on the tongue? Do you like your alcohol? Do you like to smoke and feel good and relax and chill out for a minute? Do you like having a path laid in front of you and not having to create your own path or figure things out for yourself? You like it, don't you? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You like it. You get something from it, don't you? Ooh, I know you like it. And here's how I know that you like it. Because 99% of people that I've shown any other path to doesn't want to hear it. They like it. They like being a little slave. Ooh, yeah. Oh, pinch it. Put that little wax on me. Ooh, show me I'm bad. Yeah, I'm bad. I don't want to be, I can't accept that I'm the CEO and the boss. That's too much success and awesomeness for me. That's too beautiful and constructive and uplifting. I need someone to spray me with that hot wax and scratch me up and tell me I'm bad. So what I'd ask you is, where are you complicit? Where have you made a decision to be completely complicit in a lot of this structure? Look, we get it. There are literal structures from people that are very dark and perverted that have created aspects of society that completely exploit you. Things that are so perverse, nasty, and messed up that to even gaze at it is sickening and disgusting. Just seeing the warped minds of people that actually do, that create some of these messed up, sick systems. And yet you sit there perfectly happy to lap it up. Why? It's exactly what I said. Do you like it? Do you like it? Yeah, you do.
I put my faith in a digital world, but they've given me eyes without a face. I steal the moon on summer nights. Remind myself I am someone. My soul is numb and right tonight. I'm on my tongue.
So my biggest pet peeve when I was a student was that my teachers would drone on, and they get very technical, and I wouldn't be able to remember what it was that they had to say. I knew the information was really good, but I just couldn't remember it because, frankly, it was a little bit dry. That being the case, when I use examples like, are you bad? Are you naughty? You like it. Yeah, you do. I'm really just trying to give you something that you could remember at an easy frame of reference so that you get the general concept. That's why I use a kind of out there or shocking example like that, just to give you that immediate frame of reference that's always at the top of your mind, okay? That's how I think real change gets done. It's top of mind, not just something you understand for the sake of understanding it. Now, going from there though, I didn't just use that example just because I want to lay an anchor. I was also using it because I think it's actually worth considering. See, we'll look at these kind of off-the-wall, sort of kinky ways that people express their intimate life. We see that and we just say, people are crazy. We kind of brush it under the rug. We're just like, they're crazy. You know, people do what they want to do. Privacy of their own home, all good, which it is, by the way. It's the privacy of their own home. But nonetheless, rather than sweeping that under the rug, why don't we unpack the energy behind that and then really look at how that actually extrapolates into all of life, and really it's all around us everywhere. So to understand where, in many ways, we get exploited in different systems, we want to first look at the energy behind that, and then we also want to look at the biology behind that, the evolutionary side. So there's the energetic, kind of spiritual side and way of looking at it, and then the biological side. Now, what you'll generally find with spiritual explanations or biological explanations, some people resonate with the spiritual. That's more your kind of Venice Beach crowd. Woo, 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 the secret, manifesting, all that. And then people that like the biological side, they're a little bit more kind of cold, logic, and rational. I'm personally able to walk, in both ways of thinking about it. I find them both helpful. They're just different models, and we don't have to take them so seriously that we get stuck in it. It's just sort of a way to think about it. So in the energetic side, what you have is high vibration energy and low vibration energy. This is sort of a pseudopsychology or pseudoscience in New Age circles that basically explains that we have the energy of creation and life, and we have the energy of death. Energy of creation and life is abundant, sharing, giving, uplifting, playful, light and fun, creative. Imagine that beautiful energy that created life that's just playful and giving. It's the love of the world that created the entire world. It's beautiful, it's amazing, it's just fun, right? Sharing. And the main aspect of life-giving energy is that it is giving and expanding. It's value offering. How can you sense when you're tapped into this kind of energy? Because you're giving and sharing, and you feel a great peace in your body. You feel blissful, you feel peaceful. One of the most amazing feelings in the entire world. So going from there, when we can recognize what high vibration energy is and recognize it's the energy of giving, we can also recognize there's another energy, low vibration energy, which is the energy of taking. And that kind of energy, in effect, is very dense, it's not playful, it's very controlling. Okay, high vibration energy is in release. Low vibration energy is in control. That's why any system that you see that's very controlling, it's usually done by low vibration energy. Here's what you can say and you can't, right? Things like that. Low vibration energy, controlling. And so in low vibration energy, the operating aspect of it is that it is a taking energy. Now, imagine when you're giving, you're being charitable, you're laughing, you're having fun, you're sharing energy, how you feel. Conversely, imagine that when you're taking or you're trying to get validation, you're trying to get approval and how you feel, right? One, you feel light and blissful. The other, you feel kind of frenetic and dark. Well, understand that you yourself, statistically, if I'm talking to you, probably have both energies inside of you. A little bit of high vibration energy, a little bit of low vibration energy. That's why you're not perfect, but it's also why you're not completely twisted in your mind, right? We're all in flux to whatever extent. Some people, funny enough, are very, very high vibration, and some, conversely, are very, very low vibration. So, again, this is a pseudoscience. This is not accurate. But by a way of thinking of it, we can look at people like sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, people with very, very dark personality disorders, certain cases of borderline personality disorder, or just people that are just really nasty, right? Just, nasty and selfish, right? Whatever that is. And they're very much rooted in low vibration energy. It's almost like the low vibration energy is just like bunk, like it's like a cable plugged in their neck. There's nothing to even interfere with it. They're just completely plugged in to low vibration energy. And that energy is a taker energy. Now that energy, when you combine that with biology, that can get really, really intense. Let me explain why. In biology, what you have is you have a situation where every single biological entity is trying to get a limited amount of energy, okay? And what that means is that these plants here, They look cute, like they're coexisting peacefully, but in many cases, their roots are actually competing for nutrients and water underneath. Animals are literally murdering each other left and right, like, there's crocodiles and snakes all around here in the Everglades. They're eating each other, murdering each other. The animals are essentially, behaving in a sociopathic manner. Go watch Planet Earth and watch how like in the ocean, the animals are just eating each other left and right. Go watch series like Blue Planet, how the fish are all eating each other left and right. Watch Planet Earth, how the animals are all eating each other. Basically, any nature documentary is just a bunch of animals murdering the crap out of each other, right? And human beings were a little bit different because we're like, no, we're not like that. We're different. That's not us. So what we do instead is we want to think that we're good. But what do? We eat a ton of different things, pollute the earth, but where it gets really crazy is what we do to each other. And the way that we rationalize this, I've talked about it before, is with RAS, Reticular Activation System. And basically our reticular activation system distorts the way that we see reality in a way that reflects our selfish interests. We don't see reality correctly, okay? And so what happens is that if you're filled with a lot of low vibration energy and you combine that with your base level biology that wants to take, and you put those two things together, the mind will come up sometimes with some really, really crazy stuff. Now, if you have people that are ultra rich and operating at an elite level, and they have the ability to control a lot, and you combine low vibration energy, and that low vibration energy, which manipulates their RAS, it's manipulating their selective focus, you will see them do some of the most warped, disgusting, sick things you've ever seen. And in many cases, these are the people that are shaping society as a whole. And they can be very controlling because, again, low vibration energy is very controlling, exploitative, focused on taking. And if you talk to them, they can't even see it. They're unaware that what they're doing is bad. And what happens is that oftentimes when somebody is actually being run by low vibration energy, what you'll see is that low vibration energy runs them and directs them to do all sorts of crazy things. Now look, I've seen this very much in my own business, in anybody who I've dealt with, when somebody is being run by that. I have seen this in a big, big way, and it is crazy. The way that I've seen it over the course of my life is I'll be working with somebody and they'll come in my business, and at first they're like, oh, I really love what you do, it's really cool, et cetera, et cetera. Later, they start rationalizing ways to benefit themselves. I talk to them about it. Later, they rationalize it even more and more. And usually the way that it works, here's the way they usually do it. They offer something on the front end that's actually helping you, right? Like they'll come in, they're helping the business in some way. But later, once in some way that help they're giving creates a reliance, they will start giving marching orders, get nasty, do crazy things. Even after they leave, wow, they do even crazier things after that. I have watched this happen in business for many years. And you can see this even in global economies where different countries just start bullying each other around and doing a lot of really, really weird stuff. I'm not gonna really go too far down that path in this video, but this is a very, very deep topic. I've seen this up close in business over 2 decades or more of doing business. I've also seen it as far as going out and socializing and see the way that people act and how loyal they are to their significant others and all sorts of crazy stuff. I've got a lot of personal firsthand experience with this. I've also, funny enough, because of my very low level celebrity from doing videos like this, what I've also had the opportunity to do is to get to know some of the people that are kind of in control and see how they think. And some of them think amazing, but others of them, it's really, really warped what they're thinking. And the way they're rationalizing it is just twisted and sick. And this kind of energy, when you combine that with biology, will usually get into the most centralized systems, is what you're generally gonna see. Any system that is being run by low vibration energy, they're gonna want a lot of power, they're gonna want a lot of control, and as a result of that, they'll probably offer a lot up front to the people that use those systems, so that people get hooked on it and addicted to it, and then later they just pump them with low vibration energy. No different than, say, a smartphone. At first it has all these really cool aspects on it, but by the end of it, it is literally like a direct hijack into your brain to pump it with fear, hatred, negativity, greed, envy, paranoia, things that pump your ego, all sorts of things, right? So at first it offers a service, later, boom, it actually pushes down the energy of the planet. It is really, really crazy how this works. So once we understand that, we can see that there's this energy that basically is a taker energy, and typically what you'll see with say it's like a psychopath or sociopath, is that, and this is what's so sick and twisted, is that they actually gain energy by doing harm, okay? Like a psycho, on some level, they're gaining something from hurting people, okay? They gain energy from that. See, if you're someone who's kind of like, your spirit is a little bit more in flux, maybe there's high vibration in you, maybe some low vibration, but you're trying to be better, you're trying your best, you do something nasty like that, it's gonna make you feel sick to your stomach. You're gonna feel ill doing that, hurting people or doing bad stuff. That's how I would feel. I'd feel, I could barely hurt a fly. Anything that I do that isn't just adding value, I don't resonate with it. I hate it, and my hands start shaking. Even in my business, in marketing, I'll have marketing people come to me like, wouldn't this be a good idea or that be a good idea? We could make so much money. And my hands start shaking, and I have to go to the bathroom to vomit with any suggestion that isn't win-win. Somebody in high vibration is win-win. They want to offer value. They want to make the world better. Their life adds to the lives of others. And funny enough, too, this has been sort of like a weird ongoing discussion with some like marketing people I've dealt with, is they'll be like, oh, we should go do this or that. I'm like, you realize the reason people like me is because I'm emanating energy out and making their lives better, right? So really, if I were to do what you're saying, what would happen is that people wouldn't even be interested in me. We're basically like harvesting the value of the brand equity that I've built up, and then we're just gonna wreck it. Well, that's what low vibration energy is. It's a taker energy. It wants to strip everything of the resources until the earth is just a bunch of ash, just a sick ball of death and cancer and ash and nastiness. That's where that energy is coming from. High vibration energy is win-win. It's offering, like, everything that, like, yes, you receive, but as you receive, it's adding to the flow, okay? So even here out in nature, yes, the different plants or animals, they take from each other, but it's meant to be part of a larger ecosystem that actually expands life, grows life. So even though, yes, there's some taking, it's a benefit to the larger whole. And when you resonate with high vibration energy, that's how you feel. You want to receive. You want to be, like, really in high vibration, you should be very financially successful in my view, or not in every case, but in some cases you should be, or many cases, you should be very financially successful, because you should be offering value and receiving value. There should be a flow, a sharing where you share back and forth. But again, let's go back to that example of like the kinky intimacy that we were talking about. Well, what happens in a case like that? Really what's happening is that the person is actually gaining energy by harming the other person, by hurting them, dripping them with the hot wax, or kind of scratching at them and insulting them and criticizing them. But what's funny is, and this is the craziest thing, for every single person that feeds on that kind of nasty way of doing things, at the same time, and no offense if you're into it, because I love you, and I don't want to judge, and I understand that there's a lot of elements of this I don't fully get. It's not my world, clearly, right? But understand that for every person who's into that, like, yeah, I'll tell you you're bad, there's somebody else who's like, yeah, tell me I'm bad. Tell me I'm bad. You can look this up online. They'll call it like a pay pig. Literally, there's these people that are called pay pigs that just find a dominatrix that they can do what's called a cash dump. And they literally will say, hey, can I do a cash dump? And they're like, let me just give you the cash. They don't even hook up with them. They just want to be degraded and controlled. Well, we look at that pay pig who wants to be degraded and controlled. Oh, look at that pay pig. I'm not like that. I'm so different. How? Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You have so much in common with that pay pig who wants to be controlled and exploited and told they're bad. That same energy that in an intimate interaction could be at play is in many ways at play in regular life. So that's what I'm trying to say, and that's what I was getting at in the introduction to this video, is that yes, a lot of the quote elites are run by low vibration energy. And that physical side in the physical world that they're engaged with is like take. And they'll create elaborate systems of control to control you and take from you and exploit you. I get that. I've talked about this in other videos, and you can learn all about that in many places online. Just dig a little bit. Who would have thought that, right? You could research it, not just take the pill that's been shoved down your throat. okay? Like almost everybody does. But what I'd say to you is that there's a flip side of this. Many of the most financially successful people, or the elites in our society, are not run by low vibration energy. That's just a portion of them. If you're someone who believes in God, or even if you're not, and you just believe in the general goodness that is in human beings, you better believe that not every single rich or successful person is being run by that. Yes, many of them are. Why? Because that crazy sociopath who feeds off control and taking will probably be driven to build some big business or some weird country's infrastructure, or like, whatever it is, right? We see this with dictators and tyranny and all this sick, twisted stuff. Sickening, right? We see it in the world, just the amount of death and destruction. It's disgusting. It's sick. But at the same time, that's not everybody that's successful. Please stop. Stop. That's not true. And going deeper, as much as those sick, twisted individuals create systems like that, many people were complicit and went right along with it. They loved it. They wanted it. They'll say they didn't. No different than that person getting the hot wax put on them. It's like, no, please stop. Please stop, mistress. I don't like it. Yeah, you do. You've been bad. Do you like it? Yeah, you do. And so what I'd say is that there's many, many people that are actually trying to elevate the world. Many powerful people that are trying to make the world better. And how much time do you spend thinking about them? Now the question, and this will be leading into our next segment, would be this. This is the question. If those people that are very powerful, that are very successful, that are forces for good, forces of light, forces of high vibration energy that want to make the world better, if there's people like that that have your back, that want your success maybe more than you do, that love you with all their heart because they're consumed and steeped in high vibration energy, the force of love runs through them. They are love. And those are people that are driven to add great value, add goodness to the world. If those people have your back, and if there's people that, just like how the elites that are negative, there's elites that are actually positive, that love you, if they're there to help you, why aren't you listening? Why aren't you listening? Because you like it, is why. And in beginning to acknowledge how you're complicit in this, and how you have sold yourself out for a dopamine spike, to go unconscious, not to have to think, not to have to wake up, maybe you'd have to work a little harder. And you can avoid that by taking the path of least resistance and not thinking and not waking up. What message would people like that have to share with you? What critique would they give you? What would they share with you to help you to benefit yourself? That's the next section that I want to cover here.
Hey, you got me down underground, getting holed up in my cyber lounge, as if I had time to break that down. Whatever you can do, I can override it. Got a million ways to synthesize it. Digital android, I can fight it. Fight it out.
So what we're gonna do next is shoot in the Everglades. And it's gonna be really loud out here. You're gonna have to bear with me, but I promise you it's gonna be worth it. So understand that in a sub-dom relationship, that intimate relationship, you can see a lot more clearly what it is that's going on. It's more obvious. It's more up in your face because it's so bizarre. You have the dom kind of doing all these nasty things to the sub, and the sub is liking it. Yeah, you do. You like it, don't you? You've been bad. You're very bad. And you can see that so clearly in physical intimacy. But in your regular life, that same dynamic is going on, which is in effect a relationship with low vibration energy. It's an actual relationship that you have to that energy. Now, to understand the characteristics of that energy, like we talked about, number one, low vibration energy is always that deal with the devil, so to speak. It gives you something on the front end where you get a benefit or perk on the front end. But ironically, that benefit or perk that you're getting, it actually disconnects you from your higher power. Because as you're receiving the physical benefit, you get disconnected from that present energy, from your high vibration energy. And as a result, it can hook you in. And when you're hooked in and you've lost your connection to your high vibration energy, you've lost your connection to source, because frankly, you're so addicted to what you're getting so easily. As a result, it has you literally hook, line, and sinker, right? look, to stay connected to your higher power, you have to be in a state of giving, a state of offering value. You have to be present to the moment. That takes a little bit more mental awareness and mental strength than to just be kind of half out of it, just receiving with no degree of focus. You're just taking. So of course that gets to be very, very tempting. That's what low vibration energy does. It hooks you in. So that's the first characteristic. It hooks you in with something good on the front end, but on the back end, it's going to take about 10 times more from you than it ever gave on that front end. It's going to hurt you real good. Low vibration energy, second of all, the main like I said, the first characteristic, it gives on the front end, takes on the back end. Second of all, what it does is it wants to spread. Low vibration energy loves to spread. Have you ever been in a bad mood and you just want to spread around that low vibration energy? That's that impulse of the low vibration energy. It wants to spread. So it will do whatever it takes to spread. That's its imperative. It's the energy of death, of destruction, of pain, of sadness, of scarcity, and it wants to spread. And it wants to spread through you. It wants to infect you and spread through you. Lastly, low vibration energy loves it when you just completely submit. What that means is that you want to take the path of least resistance. See how we're going through the Everglades here? It would be a lot harder to drive through all this than to go right through the pond and the established path. This established path. Low vibration, look, this path is a good path, okay? I want to be on this path. But low vibration energy is going to make a path like this for you. It's going to literally just create this path. I think a gator just jumped under. It's going to create this path. And what it's going to do, it's going to make you want to go on it so that you don't think. It basically wants it where you're not thinking, and it wants to create it where you're addicted on dopamine spikes. You're addicted on the physical gratification. You're not thinking, you're in a derp state, you can't think straight, and you're addicted on the physical. Why? That makes it where it has you like a puppet. That low vibration energy wants to run you like a puppet. It wants to disconnect you from your higher power and your present energy and get it to where you're literally just its own puppet. So that when it controls you and it activates you and you get all negative and weird, it has you dangling like a puppet. You'll see this in certain cases when people do these horrifying things. And literally the low vibration energy is just jacked into them, literally just controlling them. And in the end, usually will use them to destroy others and to destroy themselves. If you think this is weird, I would really just suggest you to open your eyes and look at what it is that's going on around you, like that bird right there. Just look at what it is that's going on around you, okay? Because this is literally everywhere.
That this is not where I belong. They rule my life from a metal box that's windowless, and I wonder where it all goes wrong. Maybe this dream we're still alive, but can the madness be undone? Am I the new intelligence? I'm automaton. I'm automaton.
So if you made it with me through all that noise, I appreciate you. We'll probably wind up subtitling that for you as well, just so you can read a little better. But I want you to get to enjoy it out here. And I also want to actually use this as an analogy for that path of least resistance, okay? Again, this is a good path that we're driving, but I want you to think about those paths that are being laid out to you. Now, I understand that what I'm talking about when I'm talking about negative energy, low vibration energy, is very, very out there. And I don't recommend to you to just listen to that out of hand. I don't want you to be someone who's naive. You just hear any random thing on the internet and you're just like, oh, look, the guy on the internet said it, so that's just how it is. That's not reality, okay? You've got to look at this with your own eyes. But what I'd love for you to do is to understand the complexities of how the world works and to really see how this takes place. Look, I run a business. Throughout the course of my years of running a business, the business has got iterated. Many, many different iterations of the business. If I were to actually show you how many iterations of our content that we've created to sharpen the content, the delivery that we use, the kind of camera work that we do, the seminars that we do, the sales and marketing that we do, the systems that we build, I mean, it's ridiculous, okay? And those same systems will get built in your own life. I really hope that. And I'm really going to make many videos to help you build your own systems, frankly. But in addition to that, I want you to think that whenever there's negative energy or low vibration energy running somebody, it's also going to keep iterating, okay? Also positive energy, high vibration energy will also keep iterating, but I'll talk to you about that later. So in systems that are highly iterated and highly complex and that have their own innate intelligence, those systems are going to get built up, and if there's nothing to disrupt them, to levels that you can't even begin to imagine. Like I mentioned earlier, the typical characteristic when a system like that gets built is it's going to offer a lot on the front end so that people are getting something out of it, and then they get hooked on it, and then it just winds up absolutely gutting them, is the basic way that it works, right? We can see this with something as simple as, say, the internet, right? The internet, at first, it offers the convenience of being able to look up things in your phone. You have the information in the world at your fingertips, and you can even communicate with everybody so conveniently. You've got all these different ways to communicate with the world and talk to each other and stay connected and have open conversation. But later on, as you're addicted to this, right? Maybe now in the town square, you don't even know how to talk to anybody anymore. You don't know how to go approach someone and talk to them. Be honest. Do you know how to approach someone and start a conversation? At this point in society, is that even viewed as normal anymore? Just to go approach some good old folks, have a good old-fashioned conversation? That's barely even normal anymore. Look at the way that we're looking at that now. We do everything online. But of course, now that we're used to having our conversations online, wait a minute. Now that we gotcha, we're going to say what you can think. We're going to tell you what you can say. We're going to tell you what your opinions are going to be. And if we don't like them, bang, you're out here. You can get eaten by alligator. You're gone, right? Again, on the front end, offers tons of value. On the back end, you're told how to think, told what to say, told what's okay, what's not okay. And you know what? Here's the best part. You get so addicted to dopamine spikes, you can't even function anymore. Now, you need those little likes and comments and quick little simulations. I mean, think about it. Researchers at different platforms studied, and what did they find out? They basically figured out that what human beings want is like 15 seconds little things that they can punch their finger into. Like, for example, in a story, in an app, a story, and you keep clicking it. Most people look at the story for 3 seconds, click to the next dopamine spike, click to the next dopamine spike, click to the next dopamine spike. Now you're addicted on approval, you're addicted on dopamine, you're being told what to think, what to say. If you don't think and say the right things, you're out of here. You don't even exist socially anymore. But on the front end, what do we have? We have people trying to give the information to the world, connect each other, create knowledge, empower people. So again, classic case. No different than in many ways the modern food supply provides more food, convenient food, but makes you sick, gets you addicted on different types of food. Many different areas in life have this. You've got to recognize how on the front end you're getting something good, on the back end you're taking the smack, and you like it. You like it, don't you? Because you're bad. Yeah, you do. You like it, it's okay. Yeah, you do. Now, what's going on here? The innate intelligence of that low vibration energy knows that in effect at one point it's injected you with trauma. Once somebody has been injected with trauma, that trauma now lives inside of them. And that trauma craves to be reactivated. Many of us are traumatized by our parents, by our environments, all sorts of things. And now, if we're actually shown something better, we can't even resonate with it anymore. We no longer even have the capacity to resonate with what it is that, with anything positive. That's why just look at most TV shows, incredibly violent. Look at the news, fear-based. You know, every year there's some new disease that pops up, sparking fear and paranoia and so on and so forth. But you keep watching that news. You keep watching that violent media. Keep chasing those dopamine spikes, those trauma points, not having to think, being told how to think. You want to be told how to think. You don't want to have to work, build a business, think for yourself, read books, research, educate yourself, learn how the system works, because you're bad and you want to be told how to think, don't you? Yeah, you do, because you're naughty and you're bad. You don't deserve to be free and alive and awake. You're just bad. Want to be told how to think, have your consciousness suppressed because you're naughty and you like it. Yeah, you do. right? I'm trying to anchor you here, okay? I'm being a little bit silly, being a little bit playful. I want to anchor you here so that you think about this self-enslavement that you choose to put on yourself, and next time that you do it, you'll catch yourself, okay? That's why I'm trying to be a little bit shocking, a little bit ridiculous. Look, if I can change my tone and just say it in a more flat way, and you're probably not going to remember it, right? You'll remember we're shooting out here. I got the big red shirt, the green environment, all the path of least resistance. So I'm really trying to drill this into your memory bank with everything that I have. So understand that's the basics of what's going on, and you're complicit. You like it. You like it, don't you? Yeah, you do. You're complicit in this entire system. So you sit there and you're saying to yourself, oh, poor me. I'm a victim. I blame others. Victimology, right? You like to scapegoat and blame others. But when have you actually looked at how you're complicit in the entire system? Where is your role in the system? Have you ever asked yourself that? Or do you just want to keep blaming other people for where you're at, for the fact that you can't concentrate, the fact that you're not resourceful enough to create a high level of income in the most prosperous economy and prosperous country and environments, or prosperous world if you're not in this country, in the history of the world? Now, to be fair, there's so much negativity being created by the media these days that by the time this video comes out, that low vibration energy might have spread so much panic that prosperity doesn't even exist anymore. And if that's the case, you didn't even take advantage of it and prepare when things were good. Let that just land for you. That being the case, again, just making this analogy, with every single thing that you get involved in, every single aspect of your life where you're receiving energy, ask yourself very simply, are you being complicit in a system where A, you want to take the path of least resistance, B, you don't want to have to think, C, you resonate with dopamine spikes, D, you're resonating with dopamine spikes that on the back end will traumatize you further, and there's an innate intelligence of low vibration energy inside of you that knows that later you'll be traumatized. Okay, you'll see this in really dark relationships where couples get together. They often say in relationships that if you fall in love at first sight, run the other direction. That's a funny thing, right? Usually we think love at first sight, we should pursue it. Look, I'm not saying you have to run in the other direction, like get all paranoid, if you fall in love with somebody at first sight. But I'm making the point. Oftentimes we fall in love at first sight, not because it's actually the best person for us, but because the low vibration energy inside of us knows that is the specific person that will activate us and re-traumatize us. And we feel drawn to them. And then what happens in that pattern? Oh, you get good feelings. You go up and up and up and up until you become reliant. Why are you reliant? Because your ability to feel self-love, your ability to be happy has become down-regulated. And you've now let that other person control your emotions. Once the negative energy, low vibration energy inside you feels that, it goes clink, boom, puts pain and pain and pain and feeds it to you. Just like in that dom-sub relationship. So understand those basic elements. And once you see how you're complicit in all of this, now you can begin to ask yourself, wait a minute. Yeah, many of the elites in society are possessed by negative energy, and they've iterated and iterated and iterated very advanced and complex systems. And there's in the same way that you might fall in love with somebody that could hurt you because there's an innate intelligence of that energy, that innate intelligence of that energy is running some of those people at the top. When you combine that with biology, evolutionary psychology, and reticular activation system that makes them rationalize what they're doing, those people, they're so disconnected, they have no idea what's going on. But in the end, and here's the key to all of it, okay? Here's the key to everything, right here. So pay attention. In the end, what you see is that those people impose their will on people that are complicit. And in the end, the person that's complicit, here's what they look like. For example, I might be talking to them. Hey, have you ever thought of adding value to the world, getting present to the moment, being expansive, becoming awake? They say, look, Owen, it's real cool that you talk about that stuff. That's very awesome. I just want to feel good. Look, I kind of just want to get paid, okay? Or like, I kind of just want to hook up, okay? That's what they do. Literally, when someone says that to you, all that I care about is just, money, hooking up, base level physical things. What's that tell you? That's it. Look, what's the translation of that? It's obvious. The simple translation is that they've become disconnected from their higher power. They don't even know what it feels like to be sustained by the source anymore. They've lost that. The energy inside them is running them, and they're in a take mode. But ironically, what's happening is the more that they take, the more that they say in that mode, the more that on the back end they'll get traumatized. And as they get traumatized, they'll crave more of those things that will traumatize them. They'll often be pulled down a path where they actually land themselves in so many problems. It can get so dark, and I'm talking dark and deranged and disgusting. And if they go way too far down that path, they can get to the point that they even get energized from self-harm or from harming others. It's sickening, harming innocence, disgusting. And that's literally the direction that this can go. So I would ask you again to look outside your little box and to actually consider what kind of system that you're a part of, what you're participating in. And rather than just blaming somebody else for doing it to you, ask yourself, do you like it? Yeah, you do. You're complicit. You like it, don't you? And maybe what you could say is exactly what I said when I was dating that one person who actually was doing that with their ex. And I said, I want no part of that. You're awesome. You're the best. But that's not for me. There's my door. And I walk out that door. Because unless you choose to walk out that door, you're choosing to be complicit. And then at that point, I mean, look, if it was me, if I was coming from that point, this is what I'd say. Either A, I would honestly just find a big pile of mud and I'd just roll in it. Like literally, I'd find the best pile of mud in here, wait for an alligator or a crocodile to just come and eat me. Just roll in the mud, say, oh, I'm disgusting. Look at me, I'm sick, I'm bad. And then just get eaten, because in the end, that's the direction that is going. So you might as well just cut to the chase. Or you can make a decision to walk out the door and say, you know what? I'm not complicit with this anymore. I'm done. I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. And instead of studying all day how you're a victim and learning to kind of block that out, put that same emphasis into being a victor. Because you have abilities and potencies and potentials that you have no idea. You are so disconnected from those, you have no idea what you're capable of. But I do, and I believe in that potential, and sometimes I think I believe in that potential more than you do. I may want you to win more than you do, and that's why I sound frustrated. So let's wake you up. Anyway, look, we're gonna head in, we're gonna keep chatting a little bit deeper, and I wanna wrap up on the point of people that do have your back and wanna help you, because your life can be far more amazing than you ever imagined.
Has gone away to another place. I put my faith in a digital world, but they've given me eyes without a face. I'd steal the moon on silver lights. Remind myself I am someone. My soul is now and right tonight. I'm awesome.
So just to wrap up, I want you to understand that while there might be a lot of people in the world that are very powerful, that are coming from a place of being negative, there are so many people that are very, very powerful coming from a place of positivity. And they're just throwing their hands up in the air, wishing that you'd wake up, wishing that you'd want more for yourself. I can tell you from personal experience, I've met some of the most incredible, very powerful people. And they're throwing their hands up in the air saying, why do we want this more than them? So I want you to imagine on one side, you've got a lot of people that are pretty negative. And to be real, they kind of got in for you. They kind of just want to be takers. But on the flip side, there's many other people that, you know, while on one side you got powerful people looking at you as food and as fuel to take from you, there's another side of people that are really good just thinking, why are they complicit in this? Throwing their hands up in the air. Understand, I want you to think how ridiculous this is. Most high-level people I know that are really good and positive, half their conversations are like, you know what? You can't want it more than they do. You can't get sucked into it, because if you get sucked in that negativity, it'll infect you too, and you're no good to anybody. Stop and consider that there's literally groups of amazing people that have your back, that love you so much, and half their conversations are just trying to come to terms with the fact that you don't want anything better for yourself and that you're choosing to be complicit in this. So that's really what I'd leave you with, just that image, realizing how many people have your back. I have your back. I love you so, so dearly, and there's many amazing people that love you so, so dearly too. But don't disappoint them. Don't let them down. You can do so, so much better for yourself. Anyway, look, I hope you enjoyed the trip. Wrapping up. It's been an amazing, amazing experience. Thank you so much. And we're going to be back with a lot more. I really tried to nail this to you in a way that will really stick. I hope this is sticky. I hope you'll stop being complicit. And I hope that you'll connect to your higher power, your potential, because you have more potential and power inside you than you have any concept of at this point in time. And I really hope to connect you to that and to give you tools and maps to connect yourself. I love you. I'm here with you. and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.